solving inequalities by adding or subtracting. And basically, not basically, but in reality, these are squiggle problems, folks. They are squiggle problems with the inequality sign. The inequality signs of less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Those signs are going to be used instead of the equal sign. And you're going to do the squiggle problems exactly the way that you've been taught to do them. So, for example, let's get a squiggle problem here. X minus 12 is less than 14. Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. We do the opposite, which is to add 12 to both sides. This goes away. And x, now here's the tricky part. Don't forget, it is not an equal sign. X is greater than 26. Exactly the same, just using the inequality sign. Now what you're going to be asked to do after that is to graph it. And remember what I said is to make lines, the line work for you. So we don't really want to start with 0 in the middle and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's going to take too long to make a line for 26. So what I would suggest is you should have 0. So let's make a number line, and we can go up by 5s. We can say that this is 0, this is -5, that'll be -10. So we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. All right, so 26 is going to be about right here. Now we have to say first to ourselves, self, is this going to be a solid circle? Is 26 invited to the party? Is his stomach going to be full with food? Or is it going to be an open circle because 26 is not included? Okay, well, a good way to figure it out is, remember, just put 26 here. Is 26 greater than 26? Wrong. So 26 cannot be part of the solution, but we have to say that's where we're going to start, is right there. And everything bigger than 26 gets to go to the party. So that's how we would graph x is greater than 26, open circle. So first you do the squiggle problem, and then when you have your answer, you graph it. All right, let's do another one. Here's our next problem. Y plus 8 is less than or equal to 12. Squiggle, squiggle. We've got a positive 8. We're going to add the opposite, which is subtracting 8, adding a -8. That goes away. And we are left with y, be careful, is less than or equal to 4. And to graph that, make yourself a number line. This one's pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 0 in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. -1, -2, -3. All right. Now we're going to start at 4. Is the 4 going to be going to the party? Is it going to be a filled circle because the stomach is filled with food? Or is it going to be open? Well, if we put a 4 over here, is 4 less than or equal to 4? Yep. So 4 gets to go to the party, full stomach. Arrow is pointing off to the left, which means everything less than 4 is going to solve this inequality. So our graph would look like that. Okay, so we're combining what you learned in 11-4 with 11-5 here, solving inequalities. All right, now we have to do a problem with the dreaded negative numbers, but you can do it. All right, if you've forgotten the rules, write this down again. Strongly recommend you also put it in your composition notebook. You're going to need to know these rules all the way through high school for all your math classes. All right? When you're adding and subtracting integers, those are all positive and negative numbers. When signs are different, find the difference. When the signs are different, remember, you subtract. And then you put the sign of the one that has the highest absolute value. I think you guys remembered that. So I didn't write that part down, but just remember, when the signs are different, find the difference. When signs are the same, add or subtract and keep the sign. That one's easy peasy. All right, so if the signs are different, -7 plus 3, you subtract 7 minus 3, that's 4. And then one with the highest absolute value, or if you want to think of what Mrs. Purdy said, which one do you have more of? You got more negatives. There you go. Okay. It might also look like this. 8 plus a -5. Signs are different, so you find the difference. 8 minus 5, 3. It's going to be positive. Now when it looks like this, 5 minus 9, remember folks, when it is a subtraction sign like that, you are always adding the opposite. Change it to an addition problem. 5 plus a -9. Add the opposite. And we've got, again, one of each. So when the signs are different, find the difference. All right. 9 minus 5 is 4. Let's look over here. Which one do we have more of? Negatives. It's also 9 is the highest absolute value, so it's -4. Okay. This one I think is the one that tricks you guys the most when it's a subtraction sign like that. Okay. Add the opposite. And so you'll see you have one of each. They're different signs, so find the difference. All right. Okay, pause if you haven't had a chance to write down those rules, and then start it up again when you're done. All right, copy this problem down. A minus 8 is less than -10. A minus 8 is less than -10. And let's solve this together. We've got squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. All right, I'm going to do the opposite. We've got a -8, so I'm going to add a +8 to both sides. This goes away. I'm left with A, don't forget, is less than, okay, I've got one of each, right? When signs are different, find the difference. Different signs. So 10 minus 8 is 2. Is it going to be positive or negative? -2. All right. Let's go to this next one. Copy this one down. C plus 4 is greater than or equal to -12. C plus 4 is greater than or equal to -12. Squiggle, squiggle. I'm going to do the opposite, which is I'm going to add a negative. I'm going to add a negative, so negative, negative, I'm adding the negative. That goes away. C, and let's put that in the black, okay? C is greater than or equal to, look at this, signs are the same. So just add or subtract and keep the signs. And we're adding two negatives. We're saying -12 plus a 4. Okay, negative 12 plus a negative 4 is going to be, keep the sign, so 12 plus 4 is 16, and we keep the sign. Okay, you might say, well, no, Mr. Aquino, that's not 12 plus a negative 4, it's negative 12 minus 4. All right, well, let's show you what that means. Negative 12 minus 4, okay? But remember what we said, when we have subtraction, we're really adding the opposite. So this would be negative 12 plus a negative 4. We learned that a while ago. Remember? So this is negative 16. Okay? If that still confuses you, it's the same as what you learned back in, kindergarten, right? You learned that 5 minus 3 equals 2. Okay? Well, let's just change that. 5 minus 3, add the opposite. 5 plus a negative 3. Okay? Different signs, find the difference. 5 minus 3 is 2. Right? And is it going to be positive or negative? Well, it's going to be positive. So it's the same thing you learned a long time ago, but they never told you were going to be adding the opposite. They just taught you this way. Okay? So this is 12 minus 4, negative 12 minus 4, yep, which means you're really just adding the negatives. Okay? Think about that, look at it carefully, and let's try some now with graphing. All right, here are 4 problems. Take them one at a time, and I want you to solve and then graph the inequality. Be careful, don't put equal signs, and remember whether it's going to be an open circle or a closed circle. All right, pause it. And then when you're done with, let's see, let's just do 2 at a time. First do these 2 right here. Oops, do A and B. Okay? Do A and B, and when you're done with those, then start it up again so you can see if you're doing it correctly. All right, pause. All right, take a look at the work. Now, you might have done your number line differently than mine. That's okay. The important thing is, do you have an open circle where your 11 is, and is it going off to the left? Same direction as the inequality sign. Now look, notice how I made my number line work for me. I went by 2's, right? And 11 would be in between the 10 and the 12. So C is less than 11. Over here, again, I made my number line work for me because X is less than or equal to 36, which is a pretty big number, so I went up by 5's. 36 would be about right here, and it should be closed. Closed circle, again, the arrow going off to the left, the same as the inequality sign. Okay, hopefully we did well. What we're going to do now is I want you to pause and work on the bottom 2. Now these are going to deal with negative numbers. Go back to your rules to make sure you remember what to do, and adjust your number line so it works for the problem. Okay, so now you're going to work on problems C and D, and start it up when you're done. All right, I solved the problems, haven't graphed them yet. So how did you do on the first one? M is greater than or equal to negative 11. Different signs, find the difference. 15 minus 4 is 11, and it's going to be a negative. So on the graph, I went by 2's, so negative 11 is right there, and it is a filled in circle because he's going to the party, because a negative 11 is equal to negative 11. But it has to be everything that's greater than that, so my arrow goes off in this direction. All right, now the next one, we've got y is greater than negative 15. Signs are the same. So we just add and keep the signs. So we've got -7 plus a -8 gives me -15. And I adjusted my line, so I've got -15. Now it's going to be an open circle, because if I do this, 15 is not, -15 is not greater than -15. That doesn't work. So not going to the party, open circle, and the arrow is going off to the right, the same direction as the inequality sign. All right, hopefully you're getting it. If you're still a little fuzzy on it, no problem. We will do more of these problems in class tomorrow. Okay, but go over those rules, make sure you understand them, and make sure you understand any mistakes that you made on these 4 problems. And be ready to ask questions. All right, see you tomorrow.